Your brother, Mr. Harish Salve, and you both studied in Nagpur, but I think to my horror, you both were bullied. Especially you were bullied.
Badly.
Like,
Both of
why?
us were very bullied. I didn't have a very happy experience in my schooling in convent, and neither did Harish. My father was convinced by the school authorities that he is not going to do anything. He used to always say that you are going to be at a tea stall.
Your questions, their answers. Dialogue at Nation Next.
Hello and welcome to Dialogue at Nation Next. I'm Radhika Dhawad, and today's interview is a lot more special because I happen to interact with Mrs. Aruna Upadhyaya, who's the woman behind one of the best schools of Central India, Centrepoint Group of Schools, and I also happen to be a part of that school. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you.
Your brother is a lawyer and you also wanted to be a lawyer.
Yes.
How did you end up coming in this field?
Well, I belonged to the time where I don't think my father was ready to have me travel here and there. So, in spite of my wanting to become lawyer, plus he told me once, I remember what he said. He said, you'll meet only the offenders. Either they'll be social offenders or they'll be financial offenders or they'll be so-and-so offenders. Why do you want to spend your life meeting only offenders? You do something else. And that is how I did my master's in economics. And then I went to work in the university. So I became a teacher. I've always enjoyed children. I've always enjoyed people, young people and their energy and their the way they look at life. And I've always been able to relate with children. So I went to the university. Then when after I got married, I had my girls, both my girls. Then I took my elder daughter to one of the good schools here, supposed to be one of the best schools, and admitted her, and then realized that, oh my God, education was still as bad as it was at my time, if not worse. Classes had become huge, 60, 70 children, and the children were not the focus. Everything else could have been the focus. The children were not the focus. The result was the focus. Being able to get into schools was a focus, but it was not कि बच्चे के बारे में कोई सोच रहा था. So I kind of was very disappointed. So they had a class which had no teacher, which was being run by their bai who had a stick in her hand. I said, I'm willing to work gratis. Let me come and take care of these children. So it was a kindergarten. So I took care of those children, and I realized that I have a knack even with little children. I've always been fond of children. And it came intuitively, and when I was cribbing and telling my husband, my God, I can't believe in Nagpur, because I was last in school 30, 40 years ago, and you know that it's still as bad as it used to be. And he said that don't crib, do something about it. So that is how I started with a small opening of a kindergarten, because I was a mother, a new mother. I didn't want to be away from my children. And finding a work and home balance has been very, very important for me always. So I started with the kindergarten, and I think for 10 years all that I did was run the kindergarten, but I never realized that what I thought was the minimum was actually for people, oh my God, this also can be done. Because according to me, people who call themselves educators or people who are in this sector actually know nothing about the fact that children have to be treated with special rights. I believe that. And you are responsible for making sure that the child is later on a happy, fulfilled, productive individual who's able to have a good life. And if you are in that field, how can you pay only attention to his academics and his learning something by rote, writing it, practicing it, and then getting 90% marks and saying, oh, I'm an achiever? There has been no social development. There has been no emotional development. There has been no spiritual development. There has only been academic development. Even academic, understanding nothing, only being able to reproduce and write. So things were, this was the definition of education. And I came in saying, okay, we can read and write, but let us let us think about what is going, that's not actually going to make a child happy. That's the least interesting part of the study. It is the other things in life that the child will get that will make the child a happy learner. So that's why I came up with this term joy quotient. That it should be a teaching and learning for the student, for the teacher, should be a joyful experience. So the teachers looking at me and saying, ma'am, there is no joy with 70 children sitting in a class A and 70 brats who have to be only taught. So there's no joy for us. And for the child, there is no joy, because by the time 9 months are over, teacher has barely started recognizing the child's name. So that was the kind of relationship in an average class. Thinking that children who need such tender care and a lot of attention for their emotional well-being, because only if they have a good childhood are they going to be a responsible, productive, happy individual of society. So at the end of the day, it's not just your academics alone. So keeping that in mind, we started with doing so much with the children that the child felt that the study was only a small part. There was so much fun. They wanted to come to school because there was drama, there was music, there was sports, there was puppetry, there was storytelling, there was toys. I mean, you name it. The important thing is, it is not in the nature of a child to sit still. Why do you put a child in a classroom and 6 hours the child is sitting in a seat? Nahi, bahar bhi mat jao. What are you expecting? You are brutalizing children. So, keeping all that in mind, I started the kindergarten.
But it was started in a garage with around 80 students.
Yes. It was started in a small flat that belonged to, we were on rent. That was where original Mother's Pet started. So it came with 80 students, and it was a lot of fun because I did everything, right from taking the fees to cleaning the toilets to taking care of the children to, and for me it was like, it was not work at all. It was fun because I was with kids.
Because that's what you love.
Because I loved that. I never realized that we give such crumbs in the name of education to children that thoda sa kuch kar lega to apne logo ko lage. So then I had my share of people saying she's crazy, she's, it's impractical. But slowly and surely, I think I've been destiny's child, like I say. Good people came to me. I'm never scared of hiring anyone who's smarter than me. In fact, I always believe if you have any brains, you must hire someone who's even better than you. Because you want that person to bring something. Not be your chamcha and say, yes sir, no sir, and ma'am, you are the greatest. No. I want somebody who will stand up and say, but this, what you're doing is not okay.
Your brother, Mr. Harish Salve, and you both studied in Nagpur, but I think to my horror, you both were bullied. Especially you were bullied.
Badly. Both of us were very bullied. I was bullied. I didn't have a very happy experience in my schooling in convent, and neither did Harish. In fact, my father, I think when Harish was in school, my father left my mother in Nagpur to take care of his education, because my father was convinced by the school authorities that he is not going to do anything. He used to always say that you are going to be at a tea stall. Well, you never know. I can't say anything about a tea stall now with Modi ji becoming the Prime Minister. But having said that, so what I realized is, because he was a gifted child, he was distracted. The teachers couldn't even comprehend what he was. So the same school now calls him back, and I mean, he's an alumni.
He's a celebrated figure today.
So. And celebrated because how cerebral he is and how hard he works. So what I realized is, this was not taught in the school. This we learned from our parents. The additional thing that I learned, I feel, where I'm a step further, better off than him is, and my work has allowed me that freedom, is that I was able to, because I used to see my parents working very hard and the family being in the back seat, I've been able to balance the two things. Because maybe it's a school, I get plenty of holidays. So I worked hard, but I always had time for my family. And my children growing up taught me so much. And then, everybody was involved. I had children who were left in school till 7 and 8 in the night who used to be playing in my house.
I have played in your house.
So to that extent, that's the kind of faith people did repose in me. After 10 years, after the kindergarten, after hearing from everybody, oh, they think no end of themselves, these children are so sassy. Because the child after the kindergarten was so confident that he could speak or she could speak, that was seen as a sign of being sassy. No, those are the verbal skills.
Yeah. There was so much of personal touch because I was at Mother's Pet, and because I was one of the, I was in one of the initial batches. So we would come at your garden, and we would play and everything. And I remember you would also be there.
I have been very lucky in my staff. I have had some amazing people who have, contributed so much to my school. But now I realize what has remained consistent and has given me the kind of results finally is that I always believe that, children have rights. So you must protect those rights. And as adults, we brutalize them under the name of parental authority, education, we know better, everything. We don't go into the way their minds function, their emotional security, their emotional happiness. And I believe, unless you're emotionally secure and happy, you can't be a good learner. To me, that came as a priority. And funnily enough, Radhika, everybody gave a challenge that now you wait and see that your children cannot do well, because after every 2 periods they're going out for swimming, they're going out for dancing, they're going out for music. ऐसे होता है क्या CBSE की पढ़ाई? No, but up to Nagpur schools have started doing it because they have to compete with Center Point. But at that time, I remember them saying, no, because I don't want to take names, but schools were like, सुबह जाओ, रात को आओ, 4 कॉपी भर के आओ, और रटो, कल जाओ, वापस वो उसके sums करो. Now, the important thing was that for me, the challenge was, really, will I be sacrificing their academic excellence while preparing them in such a holistic way? No. Today, I'll tell you one thing. You've heard these names now because they are in the press. Ritika Thakkar, Nikita Joseph, Ronak Sadhwani, then Malvika Bansod. All of them are center pointers. All of them picked up their games and this thing and have become international today. They are international. But we managed their studies, and we managed with them, we supported them. That balance, we helped them. Such children need to be supported. If they would have been condemned and said that, no, you are not giving your test, what is going to happen now? They would not be in the news today and where they are. So, I'm very proud of the fact we had the best cricket team, we had swimming at a national level.
We had a pool when there was no playground in other schools.
And everybody told me, how are you going to manage the pool? I said, if after school only, if I open it, all my children can't swim. I have to have it. No, it's not possible that in a period. I said, why is it not possible? एक तो कोई बोल देता है ना, not possible, तो मेरे को तो बहुत मजा आ जाता है. So now I feel very happy because I feel, because of our practices in Center Point now, in the last 10 years, 15 years, the new schools that have come into Nagpur, they have to have minimum,
live up to that standard.
Yes. So I believed in investing a lot in infrastructure, because बच्चे को खेलने की जगह चाहिए, ये करना चाहिए, vertical building बना करके 1 एकड़ में. And I don't believe in franchise, because if I'm not there, I don't know what you're doing to the child. No. That's why I haven't gone. Everybody says, आप नागपुर से बाहर नहीं निकले. I said, नहीं भैया, जहाँ तक कि मैं पहुँच सकती हूँ और बैठ सकती हूँ once a week, तो at least हर campus में मैं बैठती हूँ. Even now, Radhika is there once a week at every campus. I will not get a feel कि क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है. Children should have the complete liberty to be able to come and approach you and tell you that I am feeling this way or I am feeling that way. Only then you know the truth.
Your mother actually broke stereotypes.
She did, because she became a doctor at a time when women were not even given education. And in fact, she was born in Sindh, Larkana. And early in the years, my Nana was so progressive in his thinking. There was no primary school for girls.
That was when?
That would have been,
I think 30s?
No. She was born in 21, so that would have been 26, 27, 28, those years. And there was no school, it was only for boys.
Okay.
So he cut her hair and he put on the pajama kurta that the brother used to wear and sent her, as she was Amriti, called her Amba Prasad, and sent her to the boys' school to study. Because if she wouldn't have got her primary education, he was going to move later on, but this was in a village, Sakhar. If she wouldn't have got that education, later on, how would she have gone to Karachi or wherever it was that they were going to get a further education? Then, of course, she did her medicine finally at Lady Harding. I mean, he came away to India before the partition, my Nana. She did it Lady Harding and, you know, became a doctor. So, in her generation, very few people had that kind of education. So, she was a pathbreaker to that extent. And she was working when my father was still doing his chartered accountancy. So, they had to work very hard to give us whatever we have today. The problem that always, but which I faced with both of them being professionals, was that they were not able to give the kind of time that, you know, maybe my brother and I needed at that age. But it's okay. But at those times, it was a large family. We had cousins. I had my elder cousin with me who took care of me. So we kind of grew up. See, every child grows up. Brutalized, non-brutalized, educated, non-educated, well-mannered, not well-mannered, psychopath, sociopath, or functional, the child will grow up. But I do feel that for my brother and me, we did learn how to work very hard and consistently with a dream from our parents. We did. That we did. The rest of it, like I said, I'm Destiny's child. So I have enjoyed my work. I have worked intuitively. What I realize now that, oh my God, I was ahead of my times, because now people are talking about things like emotional. I mean, I have had emotional health curriculum in my school for longer than even it was being recognized that you must have an emotional health. I've had counselors, I've had psychiatrists attached. Also, another thing that I'm very proud of is that my school has been truly inclusive. No child was ever rejected for any reason. Even now, for children who are learning disabled, we run a special Pratham course, but nobody is sent away from school. Because this is society. There will be gifted, there will be special children, and there will be the average, and you have to learn to deal with all of them. The other thing is that we are very, very inclusive to the point of, in fact, being completely non-binary and The biggest problem that I have faced and I have battled always is how to get my children from not being bullied, my students not being bullied, if they are in any way different. So you can be different today if you are not able to study. You can be different if you have a different sexual preference. You can be different because you look different. Okay. You can be different because you are from a different setup. So the other children will always get together. The main people will always get together to bully a child like that. So even this school mein that early also, arey, any boy who looked slightly feminine, arey, chakka hai. So it used to upset me a great deal. And, you know, this being questioned, or girls being questioned like that, or any other reason, or somebody is dark, somebody is fair, somebody is short, somebody is body shaming. Kitna hota hai? Academic shaming. Terrible, terrible academic shaming. And I'm like, listen to me. Listen to me. Einstein was a school dropout. For God's sake, don't give so much of importance to that bloody
one
result.
aspect.
Yes. And I'll be very honest with you, Radhika. I will die a happy person the day really bullying is down to the minimum. We keep trying, but somehow, I don't know why, the society is such, children grow up in society where they see so much of intolerance, and what they don't understand, they bully. And they brutalize children like that. So my battle still continues. So we have all kinds of, you know, anti-bullying clubs. I have got the largest number of counselors, and also parents. Not everybody can be a good parent. Just because you can procreate doesn't mean that you have the skills to be a good parent. And we don't believe in reading books and all to give ourselves those skills. So we to मैं माँ हूँ
पेरेंट्स
ना,
है तो अच्छा ही करेंगे
हाँ
बस.
मैं माँ हूँ ना, I know best. Excuse
That's
me?
not true.
It's not true. They used to say, they used to call me Hitler ma'am. You know why? Early years, because I used to say, half of the parents who used to sit with me, half of you don't deserve to be parents, should not have been parents. Even driving करने के लिए you require a driving test. और बच्चे पैदा करने के लिए you require nothing. You produce and then you wonder why there are sociopaths in the.
हमारे सपने पूरे करेगा.
हमारे सपने पूरे करेगा. And you treat them like your private property. They have no feelings, they have no individual personality. What about genetics? I remember one father saying to me, I'm a brilliant lawyer and you are saying my son cannot write or read. I said, and is your wife also very brilliant? Because it's very rare that genetically two brilliant parents will not produce. But wo bhi hota hai. So, what do you mean? I said, two of you got together and made the child and it brings the genetic pool. Mother bichari, I could tell the mother had soft signs of having not had an education and being definitely challenged. But theek hai, patriarchy mein you know how things get along. Today, why am I happier giving this interview? Because you are a center pointer and you say, ma'am, I had the best time ever and it has made me the person I am. That to me is,
But that's
important.
True. I had the best time.
So before it became the number one school, we went through, of course, our trials and tribulations and people think, dekhna nahi hoga. And then, of course, what happened is that we started giving the toppers also and the toppers were doing everything else saath mein. Now my daughter is saying, Mommy, you write a book. I said, darling, now whatever I have done, everybody is now saying those words without even understanding it. Let's say maybe I was ahead of my times. But the only reason Centrepoint is where it is that we have worked with that passion for the child. And even in the COVID time, when the parents were not giving us fees and all, I paid my entire staff because I feel anyway the teaching community needs a lot more respect and a lot more money than it is given by society. Also, I invested, still continued to make the building here because I promised the children auditorium and you should go and see Katol Road's new building. Huge air-conditioned auditorium I've got, new building we've made. Swimming pool was 25 years old, that had to be done. Then Wardhaman Nagar I had to spend, all the toilets were broken and fresh. So even at that time, I was getting no fees. I used all my savings to be able to, because whenever the children return, to me, if the child is not getting what I think is necessary, playground equipment or beautiful classes and an environment which makes them feel happy, then there is no you. Now I've got squash, I've got tennis, I've got swimming, I've got cricket, I've got badminton, I've got, oh God,
skating.
Football, skating, basketball, the works. And the children are happy. Then I've got theatre, I've got dance, I've got music, Western, Indian, performing arts, everything. What I believe is life skills, important life skills. So we have so much now, this Senfest and Senmun and all, it's all about children developing talent other than just their examination pen and paper. If I see a child whose face is looking down, I feel personally responsible. Out goes the joy quotient. Something is going wrong in this child's life. I've had such battles with parents also where I've called the parents and told them, okay, you listen, you're doing a very bad job. A lot of them have come back and said, ma'am, you were so right. A lot of them have taken their children out in anger. But I have always maintained that I have to collaborate with the parents to make the child's life a peaceful, because society is not going to make it a happy or a peaceful place or even a safe place. So you have to. And I was very happy because my school was finally given an award for what is called safe and sensitive school. I was never looking at the Nagpur schools or the Indian schools. I'll be very honest with you. At that time, I was always looking because I felt that their practices for children were far more advanced. So I would always go, bring those influences, bring those educators, train. I have spent so much of money and working hours on training my staff. Because the B.Ed teaches you nothing.
Students of Centrepoint School are considered, snobbish. Centrepoint has now become a niche brand. So did you ever take efforts to develop it, or was it by design or by default?
It was entirely organically happening and I was not aware. What I realize is so true. If you pursue your dream and you are passionate about it, then you can really literally perform miracles. That it will become a brand, it's a niche brand, and it's like, all that came much later. My God, I had my battles cut out for me.
But I have people around me, they have this subtle way of saying, oh, you're from Centrepoint, you know how Centrepoint students are, like so snobbish.
Yes.
I'm like, what snobbish?
1 minute. Just being confident or being able to speak in English makes you appear overconfident. No, fact is my children are placed very well. They are doing very well. We always have tried to make them law-abiding citizens. If anything, if they're learning anything about breaking the law, they're learning it from their homes. Because I have always, till date today, whenever I travel, I have never cut a queue. I will never cut a signal. To me, following rules is my own safety and is so necessary. I have taught the children. But yes, the children they are not snooty or snotty. They are confident children. They have verbal skills because we engage so much with them. It's not all about writing. The more you engage with the child, more the confidence levels.
It has been said that, okay, the personality, Centrepoint students, they have a good personality, but humility takes a beating.
Now the thing is, I'll tell you what happens is, what you don't understand, you mock. So people who cannot maybe even afford, they look at, now Centrepoint is looked at as rich, famous and good. Okay. But because it is out of reach for some people, maybe that could be causing the reason. It could also be the fact that we have never tried to be one in a pond in Nagpur. I mean, we have always, and the kids also have realized, because whenever I have had a meeting or whenever the children, it's always about, this is what we've done there, this is what is done in London, this is what is done in America. So naturally, the children have been given via exposure. I've sent all my principals, everybody abroad for courses to learn. Jenny Mosley, I remember, came years ago to teach a circle time. So what I'm saying is, they have that exposure. So they have the confidence. I have the confidence because I grew up with my father's career, with prime ministers, presidents, chief ministers hanging around the house all the time. I grew up with that confidence. Doesn't mean that I'm insolent, doesn't mean that I'm a lawbreaker. I know my mind, but I'm very, very respectful and I respect all human beings as equals. So this impression of the Centrepoint student is only because the Centrepoint student is, like they say, not ghati anymore, can speak good English, and over the years spent in Centrepoint has developed a personality where they can express. In most education fields, you do not allow students to express. I always wanted the students to express as much as they are taking in. And because of that, my children are confident. People can say anything.
But there's a constant comparison between Centrepoint school students and Bhavans students. Oh my God. Look at Bhavans students, look at Centrepoint. I am fed up of this comparison. I was in Bhavans for 11th and 12th. I was in Centrepoint for 10 years. I was in kindergarten, mother's pet for 3 years. I'm like, I don't know how to answer that question.
I really cannot say anything about that, because I think the vision of the person on top is very, very important. My staff has carried out my vision, and like I said, that maybe I have been ahead of my times. So things have been on a fast forward mode always with me. And not to run anybody down, they do good work, but हट के सोच रखना, हट के काम करना, challenge accept करना, ये सबकी फितरत में नहीं होता है ना.
You are a self-made woman. You also come from an influential family. But how is it when some people actually attribute your success to your successful family lineage?
Well, all I know is that every year my children have to give their 10th and 12th exam, and every year I am judged. My work requires every year for me to be judged. Now the important thing there is, if it is because of any influence, एक दिन चलेगा, 2 दिन चलेगा, 3 दिन चलेगा, the truth always comes out. That we have emerged as what is now called a brand is proof that this is something that is needed in the education sector and should have been done like yesterday. Even now, people need to understand that you have to have the child as a focus, and you have to give a complete holistic baggage to the child. I have been very lucky because I have been able to build my schools because of funding. I was among the very few educational institutions that got funding from bank. So I never skimped on my infrastructure, because according to me, if a child can't play, it's terrible. And the schools that are with the old schools that have got grounds have turned into state board schools where there are 70-80 children and there is no time for the child to play. Other private schools and so-called CBSE schools use the excuse of saying, CBSE की पढ़ाई इतनी है, पढ़ाई इतनी अच्छी है कि this is all at the cost of academic excellence. No, I do not agree. Social growth, emotional growth, cultural growth, and growth in sports, growth in art, growth in all fields, everything is to be considered when you are doing a holistic this. So it's a lot of work that adults have to do, and the ratio of children to adults is also very critical. I always have kept a ratio of 1 adult for 12 children, and I'm talking of teaching staff. उसमें ये सब आ जाता है. I'm not including the helping staff, the buys and all that. I'm not talking about them. Teaching, that's the ratio. How can you know more than that number well enough to be able to take care of the child's well-being?
Your father, late Mr. NKP Salve, he was very thick friends with Dilip Kumar Saab. Unfortunately, he passed away, Dilip Saab. So, today, I remember he'd come to school, I'd welcomed him with rose petals and everything.
Oh
so,
my God.
Yeah,
See, so this is it. These are the memories. This is where the confidence comes from. Nothing more than that.
Last year he passed away, unfortunately. So I'm sure you are such a close family friend, and there are reports that Saira Banuji has gone into a shell after his demise.
She's taken it very badly.
Yeah. Did you try getting in touch with her?
Yeah. The fact is, though he was ailing, she had devoted herself completely to him.
Yeah.
So, such a vacuum in her life now. She's become very reclusive. She doesn't now, in these last 2-3 years, we lost 2 very good family friends of ours, Dilip Kumar and Lata Mangeshkar, because my father was very close to Lata. And they both lived a very, very good life, very, very successful life. But Saira ji does feel very, that like there is a big vacuum in her life. But she's a very strong person. She's
all
very,
her fans and everybody on social media is actually inquiring about her.
She's very, very strong. But you know what? I feel now she feels that she's worked so hard at keeping him all right. I think now she feels it is, time for her also to take a little rest, and because she really, really took care of Yusuf Saab,
For
you
sure.
take care of a baby.
Absolutely, with so much of devotion and love and dedication.
And if he lived after so many hospitalization, he lived for so long, it is only because of Auntie Saira. Only because of her. Because she was like unbelievable. She was like his mother, wife, daughter, everything rolled into one, how she took care of him.
Your younger brother, Mr. Harish Salve, he's doing very well for himself, and every time I've spoken to you about him, you've been this proud sister talking about him, and now at 65, he's tied the knot. So how does it feel?
Wonderful, because it only proves that never say never. He's had a very unhappy personal life for a very long time, which was of great concern to all of us in the family, but that he's finally been able to make a break. And I'm one of the persons who encouraged him to find happiness again. And he has a lovely wife. He's 6 years younger than me. So I have a very maternal feeling towards him. And very often I end up mothering him, which he resents thoroughly. But he's at a good place just now. He works like a dog. I mean, in the COVID time, his schedule was, he was in his office, in his chambers at 5 every morning, because the Supreme Court was all online, and he would come home at 8. So for such a person, what he needs when he comes home is peace. He needs a person who understands, and he loves his work. And he has a few years
Goes
still
without
left.
saying.
Yeah. So after having had that battle on his hand in his life with his ex-wife, which it was not a very, very nice separation that they had, but he is now at a good place. I was there for him. I'm totally supportive. He has a lovely wife, and he's so much happier. And I do believe that because he's so much happier, he's going to do better and better work. I'll tell you, it is never late in life to try. Everybody should have the basic right of trying and finding happiness and peace in life. So I was the one who said, go ahead. And I'm not a person who believes what is society going to say. I have never done anything believing what society is going to say. To me, society is the most Dakhyanusi concept that we have, and causes all the problems of racial tensions and this kind of thing.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, everything. So what I believe in is that you in your heart, use your own moral compass, you will get the answers, and you will know what is good for you, what is bad for you. Just listen to yourself and allow that to develop. Don't kill it by having other people tell you, nahi, aisa nahi karna chahiye, waisa karna chahiye, aisa nahi karna chahiye, waisa karna chahiye. So he's at a good place now, and I'm very happy for him.
So what fond memories you have with him in Nagpur when you were in college together and school?
Well, the important thing was we both were not good in studies. So we shared that, and we shared our father's continuous lamenting, oh God, nothing is going to come out of these children. And I'm very happy to say that both of them did manage to see the success we made of our lives. So nothing can be more fulfilling. And at the end of the day, Radhika, I think you have to keep your feet on the ground. I believe I'm destiny's child. And there is someone who takes care of me, gives me the good sense to take a right call. There are many people who work harder than me. There are many people more talented than me. There are many people who deserve much more than me. So I do believe I am destiny's child. But yes, with what destiny has given me, I have tried to be as honest and as sincere and as transparent. To me, honesty in life with yourself and your peer group and your family is the single thing that keeps you functioning properly. So I think, to me, I consider myself destiny's child, and I've been very lucky. I've got such fantastic staff that has worked for me, and I give the complete credit to them. So, but I gave them the vision, they have lived my vision. This is the important thing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was lovely talking to
Thank
you.
you, Radhika.
And I'm sure so many Centrepoint students are going to just...
I hope they're all over. Nowadays, whenever I'm traveling, I go to the airport or anything, somebody is coming running saying, ma'am, I realize how old I've become only because now I've got children's children. It's been a fantastic journey, beautiful journey. And I wouldn't, if I had to go back, I wouldn't do anything differently.
You would want the same life again.
I would want the same life again. Maybe I feel that I got a little wasted in Nagpur. Had I been in a different place, my growth might have been even better. But this is my karma bhumi. I feel, yes, in my own way, that, you know, we have contributed to, because neither my brother nor I have ever shown any interest in politics at all. And we are completely apolitical people. I feel we have contributed without any segregation of this, that, this. It is equal for all. And yes, if I would get a chance, I would do it all over again. Maybe make less mistakes along the way, but would.
Thank you so much for your lovely time.
Thank you, Radhika.
Thank you so much.
Nation Next, News Hub for New India.